Hello everyone, this is Nilanjana Maulik. My apologies for choosing this online format to deliver my talk. I needed to be back in Kolkata on 27th evening to travel another 580 kilometers for an awareness campaign, this being World Alzheimer's Month. Hence, to save time, energy, and of course resources, my decision to meet you all here. Thank you, ARDSI Pune chapter, for inviting me. It is good to be back on your platform after 2011. When I was asked to share the subject of my talk this time, I wasn't sure what that could be. My last talk at Pune was about the balancing act of family caregivers in their journey of caregiving. Today, after 13 years and much deliberations, I decided to stay focused on the same family caregivers, but this time shifting the story to the mistakes committed by me as a care professional while supporting the caregivers of persons living with dementia. Those of you present here today who support the caregivers in their journey, first of all, thank you for your dedication and time. Your contributions make a significant difference without a doubt, and that is because caregivers of people living with dementia, we all know, face immense emotional and physical challenges. But how we do that, meaning how we deliver that as professionals, I realized is important. And so today I would like to share my experiences learned from my mistakes over the past 30 years of journey in the field of dementia care. The lessons learned are definitely not out of any textbooks or checklists. It is purely from the daily experiences and feedback that I have gathered from my professional life while spending hundreds and thousands of hours with caregivers who care for their loved ones with dementia, which we all know is a progressive degenerative disease of the brain and unfortunately has no complete cure at this point of time. Let me begin by asking you all one question that is something that I experienced way back in the early 90s when I began my journey with dementia caregivers. And my question is, are you ever afraid or uncomfortable in what to say, what to do when you meet your caregivers? I have been, and many of us are probably so. The reason being, we really don't know how the caregiver's life is going at their end. We think we do, but actually, if you are really truthful, you will agree with me that you don't most of the times. So I asked myself, how do I understand the challenges, the pain that the caregivers are going through? My answer came in shape of self-questioning my own beliefs, values, and attitude. I realized that the more compassion and understanding I have for my own needs and limitations, the more energy I have to appreciate the needs and limitations of those who depend on me. In doing so, I identified my first mistake. And it was the way I was trained to see people's broken life and fix it. Somewhat like a watchman who looks for a broken part of a watch and fixes it. Sadly, it does not work that way. One has to be more of a nurturer than a watchman. Our job is not to fix the caregiver's life, but to nurture their well-being. Here, I started to think of my well-being and imagine if I am a plant, what shape am I in? Am I healthy? Am I sad? Am I alive and kicking? I close my eyes and I let it appear, the state of the plant that I am in, and then ask, what does it need? What can I do to meet the needs? This exercise helps me see clearly what and how to contribute well and make a difference in the lives of the caregivers. And I will earnestly request you all to walk through this exercise when you get some time. And I promise you it will help you a lot. Thank you very much. Reflecting on my daily encounters with families, I realized I was never smiling when I was with a caregiver, assuming that would demean their state as they had less or no reason to smile at all. This second mistake was rectified when I received a postcard from one of my friends who was traveling, and it said, "If you don't have a smile, I will give you mine." Things have been much better after I have started to share a smile while being with them, and I hear many of them say how hopeful they feel looking at me smiling. Believe me, this works wonder. Alternatively, I also avoided assuming they are fine based on their appearances. Just because a caregiver seems to be managing well doesn't mean they don't need support. My third mistake was the way I was communicating with the caregivers. How and what I said either destroyed or made their day. So choosing words wisely is the key, and maintaining positivity is a must in our communications, whether it's through the words we use or through our body language. I always remember that a caregiver cannot afford a single negative thought ever. However, I am also careful not to force positivity and certainly avoid pushing them to look on the bright side when they are needing to express their frustration or sadness. My fourth mistake was focusing on things not practical. I realized that if I really want to support, the best thing is to offer real help. It could be like running errands for them so that they can rest for a while, or it could be taking a walk with them instead of saying they need to take care of their health. Or it could be window shopping and watching a movie together instead of saying they need to do something good for themselves. I avoided offering empty promises. Making promises I can't keep can erode trust. I only offer to help when I am sure I can follow through it. It's better to under-promise and over-deliver than to leave a caregiver disappointed. My fifth mistake was expecting the caregivers to be empathetic towards their loved ones with dementia. Well, that's what I was taught over the years at trainings, seminars, books, journals. So passing my knowledge to them was a must, and I did, and I failed miserably. Learning to be empathetic is a tough skill to put into practice. Generally, being so with people living with dementia is a whole different ballgame. So I asked myself, can I really help the caregivers learn to be empathetic? And if so, how? One intervention that worked well was inviting them to observe more experienced professional caregivers practice empathetic responses in real life situations, at our daycare or maybe at a home setting. This was done instead of theoretical explanations and lectures or handing over a manual and expecting them to learn and implement being empathetic. The sixth mistake was always telling the caregivers only about the changes in their loved one's brain and not letting them know that their own physiology is also a part of the dynamics. And now, when caregivers ask me what they can do to help their loved ones, my response often surprises them because it has nothing to do with their loved one's mind and everything to do with their own. I urge them to invest in their own brain. My final lesson learned was from the mistake of multitasking while being with caregivers. I was never fully present with them and hence never connected. Over time, I made sure I finished all my pending business when I was seeing them and dedicated my time completely. Ladies and gentlemen, time teaches us ways to adjust and adapt. As I close 2 more lessons that I must not forget to share. Number 1, remembering to dress and look bright when visiting a caregiver. And secondly, not to expect caregivers to achieve their well-being within a deadline. Actually, there is no timeline or race to the finish line of this journey. The idea is for you to support the caregiver, build a sense of satisfaction one brick at a time based on what works for them at that point of time. As a caregiver for my father, who died of multiple myeloma 10 years back, I guess the personal experience of mine made me discover one of the best secrets of well-being. I was searching for happiness while he was battling for the disease and after he was gone. But someone close to me told that I was searching for the wrong thing, since a continual state of happiness is not attainable. In fact, it creates a sense of inadequacy because happiness is just an emotion. It can never be sustained. It's just a feeling when you see a sunrise, or maybe when you receive a positive text from someone, or when you are holding your new grandchild. Rather, he said, feeling satisfied throughout the day or feeling satisfaction at the end of the day is a much more achievable and healthier goal. It's basically a feeling of contentment and peace. It's how you feel when you accomplish something you set out to do, like giving a good bath to your loved one, or reading out a story, or holding their hands while they are sleeping. And this feeling can be long-lasting. Hundreds and thousands of family members who I met over the past 3 decades always tell me that they are failing to be happy anymore. And I tell them now and insist that they should work on feeling satisfied, not necessarily happy. That's all for me. Thank you for listening, and I wish you all a great time at the conference. Missing the opportunity to meet you all in person next time maybe, and until then, bye for now. Thank you so much.